When the final whistle blew, a 40-year-old goalkeeper stood in his own box and wept. He'd just kept the world's reigning European champions off the scoreboard on his country's World Cup debut. In the middle of the biggest shock of the tournament so far. But those tears weren't joy, not entirely. Let's start there, with why he was crying. For one night, the entire football internet pointed at a single man, Vozinha. He turned away Pedri, he smothered Ferran Torres, he flung himself at an Aymeric Laporte header. 7 saves across 90 minutes, and when it ended, he was in tears. The BBC's Match of the Day captioned the moment simply, a beautiful moment. Then his phone caught fire. ESPN reported he picked up around 2 million Instagram followers after the match. The Athletic put it sharper, from 50,000 to 2.5 million by 5 p.m. Eastern. Portugal's Ojogo said he gained over 1 million during the game itself. In one evening, a near-anonymous veteran from the Portuguese second division became a global name. And his story is something else. 19 years bouncing between Portugal, Cyprus, Slovakia, Moldova, and Angola. Per ESPN, more than 200 games, and exactly 1 trophy. Spain's El Español noted his market value sat at just €50,000. That man, at 40, walked off with the Player of the Match award on his World Cup debut. It's never too late for a breakout, just ask Vozinha. But on the happiest night of his career, why was he crying? The reason wasn't on the pitch. Vozinha explained it himself. The grandparents who raised him passed away a few years ago. They weren't there to see this. And his mother couldn't make it either. A visa problem, he said, and the cost of that visa. They couldn't sort the paperwork in time. I'd have loved her to be here, he said, but I'm so happy and so proud of all the people of Cape Verde. On the night he became a national hero, the people who most wanted to watch him weren't in the building. And that detail, tangled up with the visa problems that have shadowed this tournament, pushed his story well past the sports pages. This isn't one outlet's scoop. ESPN, The Athletic, Goal and the Daily Star all carried the same direct quotes. The biggest stage of his life, and the people he most wanted beside him weren't there. That's why Vozinha's tears will outlast the scoreline. On the other side, it was the mirror image. On paper, this was a mauling. 27 shots to 6, 800 passes to 300, 74% of the ball. And the scoreboard read 0-0. Online, the verdict landed fast. This looked like an attack versus defense drill. The chances were real. Pedri denied on 38 minutes, Torres rattling the post 3 minutes later, Oyarzábal's header on the rebound clawed away again by Vozinha. And the next morning, the Spanish press held a wake. Marca's front page went one word, collapse. AS chose its own, flop. El Mundo called it a Spain without ideas against the weakest team in the group. In Catalonia, Mundo Deportivo simply called it disappointing. The knives turned on the coach, Gavi deployed at left wing, Dani Olmo and Nico Williams not introduced until the 71st minute. Marca said Luis de la Fuente lost track of the clock with his changes, a Spain without a compass. It went further still, comparing the night to their loss to Morocco in Qatar, or worse. For a coach who'd boasted before the tournament that he had the best squad in it, this stung. De la Fuente himself didn't flinch. When the ball won't go in, it just won't go in. There are no small opponents here. He praised Cape Verde while insisting they were clearly inferior, then drew the line, 32 matches unbeaten, 0 doubts. Captain Rodri echoed it. We had to be patient. We created the chances. We just couldn't score. 90 minutes of total control, and not one goal to show for it. Possession doesn't go on the scoreboard. So what's Spain's problem? The system, or the finishing? Even inside the shock, the cameras found Yamal. The 18-year-old, fresh off injury, came on and immediately flickered, a right-wing burst on 71 minutes, a pass to Marcos Llorente, a shot, Vozinha again. The crowd surged when he entered. El Español wrote that his image was plastered across entire buildings in Atlanta, but the goal never came. And then the real twist. Spain didn't just fail to win, they nearly lost. On 89 minutes, Oyarzábal's first-time effort from an Olmo pass was blocked by a sliding Paco Lopez. And in the dying moments, from a set-piece, Dani Borges rose completely unmarked and headed at goal. Had it not nestled into Unai Simon's arms, this shock would have been a full-blown smash-and-grab. Spain were lucky to draw. A debutant didn't just hold the favourites, they pushed them to the edge of defeat. If Spain was awake, the rest of the world threw a party. England's Guardian called Cape Verde the happiest place in the world right now, and they're defending a masterclass. The BBC called it the biggest story of the World Cup so far, the third least populous nation in the field shutting out the European champions. Germany's build was blunter, a bunch of islands had shamed Spain. And in Argentina, Ole ran both verdicts side by side, a historic embarrassment for one team, the best story of the tournament for the other. The word that kept coming up was expansion, the worry that stretching the World Cup from 32 teams to 48 would water it down. Then a nation of 500,000 held the European champions, and that argument took a direct hit. Cameroon over Argentina in 1990, Senegal over France in 2002, Saudi Arabia over Argentina in 2022. Add Cape Verde's point to that lineage of giant-killing knights. And the Portuguese-speaking world felt this one closest. For of the starting 11 came through Portuguese leagues, from Vozinha to the ex-Benfica defender Sidney Lopes Cabral. Portugal's Publico wrote that Cape Verde amazed the world and brought Spain to its knees. Back home, the country was given the day off. From Praia to Sal to Boa Vista, and across the diaspora in Atlanta, people poured into the streets. Their coach, Pedro Leitão Brito, known as Bubista, put it simply, "This means everything for our country. We are a country of resilience, of overcoming hardship." Not a win, a draw, and yet an entire nation, and half the world, celebrated it. Sometimes a single point becomes bigger history than a victory. So here's where it lands. Spain, European champions, title favourites, held to 0-0 by Cape Verde, a nation of 500,000 on its first ever World Cup appearance. 27 shots stopped by one goalkeeper, a goalkeeper who cried through the best night of his career, without his family there to see it. The same result left Madrid in mourning and Praia in carnival. Spain now go into Sunday against Saudi Arabia with almost no margin left. Cape Verde have Uruguay and Saudi Arabia ahead, and, if they hold their nerve, a shot at history beyond anything they've done before. Here's the call, and it's a forecast. Spain score and bounce back next time out. De La Fuente won't change his blueprint, and the moment Yamal starts and plays close to a full 90, the Cape Verde frustration disappears. But top spot in Group H now goes down to the wire with Uruguay. He stopped 27 shots, and he still cried. The real story was never on the scoreboard. It was in front of that goal.